from Darkstar Astrology, bringing you the solar eclipse on January the 5th, which falls at 15 degrees Capricorn. So this eclipse is a partial one, and the eclipse path will mainly be seen in Northeast Asia. Now, the astrology of this solar eclipse has the moon aligned with poetic and musical star, fixed star Vega, and that's found in Lyra the harp. And this is a really romantic one as it is sextile Neptune as well. And the tarot card associated with Capricorn Decan 2 is the Three of Pentacles, which is a card associated with architecture and craftsmanship as well. So this is a really great solar eclipse for creativity inspired by a muse. So the solar eclipse falls in Capricorn Decan 2, which is quite a tough placement for such a sensitive body. Instead of home comforts, the new moon seeds are expected to grow in a fairly Spartan environment, and the land here is hard and dry, so it will take some toil to make it fertile. Much depends on carefully organising structures in order to yield the best results with this new moon, because it is a new moon as well as being an eclipse. This month will probably be one of hard knocks and deferred gratification then, and it will be hard for anyone touched by this solar eclipse to be empathetic to anyone who may be lagging behind due to domestic problems. They will have to maintain a pull up by your bootstraps approach. But because of the seductive aspect of this solar eclipse, there is an element of using one's sexual allure to steal a business deal. Those touched by this moon should be aware of a potential partner who seems quite blown away by your money. This is quite an insidious, gold-digging solar eclipse, and one could get quite easily carried away by flattery. The ruthless side of Capricorn Decan 2 will do anything to climb the pyramid. Unfortunately, because of this moon sextile to Neptune, we may be blinded by our compassion. The positive side to this lunar eclipse is that it will be a great one if you're creating very elaborate architecture. Capricorn loves to build, and sculpture is also very well starred. So the moon star is Vega, and that's at 14 Capricorn. And the meaning for this is, these are some quotes from some astrologers. Public disgrace, probably through forgery, loss through writings, some ill health, success in business, and gain through an annuity or pension. That's Robson. Bernadette Brady says, a compassionate leader, someone who cares, to be focused on humanitarian issues, high expectations, and seeking a saviour. And the Ebertons say it gives beneficence, ideality, hopefulness, refinement, and changeability, and makes its natives grave, sober, outwardly pretentious, and usually lascivious. But they also bring out the artistic sign, saying it in a good cosmic configuration. Vega is supposed to give artistic talents, especially for music and acting, but also a liking for good living. With eccentric artists, this may lead to a debauched life. Vega is said to pave the way to riches and fame. In connection with the moon, which it is a tendency for occult and mysticism. So I wrote a whole post on Vega, and here are my key words. So, you know, these are going to be the themes for this solar eclipse. So blood is thicker than water, family honour, loyalty, musical, theatrical, arty and crafty, waxes lyrical, charming the birds from the trees, Pied Piper, paying the piper, songbirds, lullaby, lair, aspiring, social climbers, class consciousness, divas, wannabes, fans, stalkers, admirers, high status, flash cars, impressive, political clout, gangsters, grasping, publicity hungry, media whores, ancestral talents, dynasties, forging, faking, plastic surgery, perfection, idealism, the pinnacle of success, snobbery, rags to riches, riches to rags, thieving, criminal activity, torture, punishment, and law unto themselves. So that's a bit of a mixed bag there. But, you know, when you see the post in depth, you'll see that you'll see where they all fit in with all the examples of people with Vega prominent in their chart. Now, I just found that they were definitely associated with wealth and a tad of pretentiousness as well. It fits very well with the aspirational mountain climbing goat. But tropical Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so we get a doubling of the planet's more severe and authoritarian side as well. Now, there's a lot of the constellation Sagittarius in this decan as well, and so the meaning of constellation Sagittarius in general is that it softens tigers, rids the lion of its fierceness, speaks to the elephant. It has lordship over the beast. It imparts strength to limb and keenness to the intellect, swiftness of movement, and an indefatigable spirit. So this just emphasizes the law and order of this, or really the civilization of the errant criminal or savage. So then the second phase of Capricorn seems to sort of fit with this as well, because it's got animals in it. So the second phase of Capricorn is a man with a common ape in front of him. This is the phase of seeking to do what cannot be done and to attain what cannot be. Generally, a solar eclipse is like a solar reboot, and it's perfect for planting new seeds and starting afresh. And we're working on the blank canvas of the dark moon, where our ideas can gestate in the new moon soil. But with an eclipse, the moon comes between the sun and the earth, and therefore the lunar interrupts the flow of energy and causes disruption, and it breaks our habitual behavior and gives us a kind of cosmic reboot, as I said. The moon blots out the masculine left brain energy for a while, so that the feminine right brain is flooded with instinctual and intuitive energy. And this makes the unconscious conscious, like when you become aware that you're dreaming. So the tarot card that's associated with this decan is the Three of Pentacles, as I said before. This card depicts the architect and specialised tradesman. It's about learning practical skills and putting long-term commitments into building something that will last. Churches are both something useful, lasting and sacred. Okay, so here's a quote from Teach Me Tarot. You are being rewarded at long last for all the effort you've been putting in for so many years or lifetimes. Others are prepared to back you now and offer support where in the past you struggled alone with your ideas and plans for the future. So that's the end of the quote. Now, these folks can be elitist, but the material gain that comes with this decan is usually well earned and deserved. The evolved native does not become complacent nor expect rewards to be handed to them on a plate. Everything is worked hard for, and material gains are valued and reinvested for future generations. So because it's a lunar eclipse, we can look at the sun sextile Neptune as well as the moon sextile Neptune. And the sun sextile Neptune is wonderfully charismatic, glamorous, musical, poetic, highly imaginative, because, you know, the sun is a creative force anyway, but it does tend to come with a price. It brings a touch of the childlike trickster to an already nebulous Neptune. It also gives this solar eclipse an enchanting duplicity, a kind of Peter Pan quality. The imagination is kooky and poetic with a surreal edge. The developing, blossoming feeling of the sextile can bring out the most deceptive qualities of Neptune, however, because the energies are unformed and unstable, and things can change with Neptune's tide at any moment. It could give those touched by this eclipse a charming wit, which lends itself to creative tale-telling. At this time, we could feel like excitable romantics with a tendency to worship our lovers. Now, with the moon sextile Neptune, this one is more devoted. You could be really devoted to your lover for the next 6 months, but really need to be careful that the longing to merge doesn't leave you feeling having no sense of self whatsoever. The solar eclipse energy will work best when we put this great devotion into an all-consuming passion. So an artistic project will be perfect, and also spiritual practice, but best of all, working to transform the lives of the sick and the needy. It also takes the fantasy element of Neptune and tries to build a utopia. But there's also a budding saviour quality about it, which is in tune with the common people's hopes and dreams. And the nurturing side of this moon can also take on a transpersonal mothering role in the world as well. And obviously I've talked a lot about the negatives of Neptune in other videos, how you just have to be really careful that you don't fall prey to covert narcissists as well, because they give out that, oh, you know, I'm a good person, I look after the sick and the needy, all the kind of virtue signaling you get online where you can't see whether it's genuine or not. It's so easy to post that's caring for refugees or whatever it is. But, you know, that's easy. You can do that in 2 seconds. But how you live the rest of your life is really important. So, yeah, just be careful of being, falling prey to those sort of tactics, really. So my summary then. Now, building a dream was the first phase that came to mind when I read the Neptune aspect to the very constructive Capricorn energy. But the star Vega is one of contradiction too, as it has the dreamy romantic energy, but also the very fiercely protective and authoritarian one too. Artists, agents, or rock star managers have a very Vega kind of energy about them, but they may not have great artistic talents themselves, but they can certainly see it in others. Film directors are also great at organising and containing their temperamental and sometimes diva-esque actors and artistes. Glamour is a big theme, but also using it in a way that is very much like magic, as a way to psychologically control others. Advertising is also another very Vega type energy as well, and I would say propaganda too, as Pluto is widely conjunct this solar eclipse also. However, with Neptune fogging things and adding some shimmer, it doesn't feel like propaganda at all. You're willingly falling under Neptune's spell. Like when you take drugs, you do know that you're under the influence to some extent. Enablers can become very bewitched under the influence of this solar eclipse, and there's also an amount of delusion in relationships as well. The best use of this eclipse energy really would be to entice your beloved by dedicating songs to them, serenading and seducing with beautiful art inspired by them as well. They will be so flattered and you will melt their hearts if you have any planets connected with this solar eclipse. Now remember, the effects of the solar eclipse last for 6 months, so you've plenty of time to be inspired by your muse. If you have no art that you can dive into, you might find it very hard to keep your feet on the ground though. Now, if you find yourself on the receiving end of such adoration, just be careful that this person isn't going to drop you like a hot brick once they have had their wicked way with you. This is a classic solar eclipse for love bombing, and there can also be the feeling of taming a wild heart by reciting romantic poetry to it. This is an eclipse where beautiful art can heal and console a raw and tender heart, however. So it's positives and negatives as always. So what crystal can we use to help us with healing at this eclipse? So I chose this nice blue stone, kind of aqua kind of blue, called the Larimar. And this crystal is helpful for the tendency to play the martyr in relationships, and therefore great for those who suffer from codependency issues. All these traits can be hyped up by this solar eclipse, but it will also soothe the brokenhearted as well. This stone brings calmness and equilibrium. It's especially good for healing trauma from an abusive partner or parent as well. So the quote from my Crystal Bible book is, "It's an excellent stone for those seeking a soulmate and facilitates the healing of past life relationships. And crystals online say that Larimar is a powerful stone that promotes a soothing and relaxing environment. It can be useful for phobias, panic attacks, stress-related imbalances, excessive anger, and fear as well. Larimar teaches us to love, nurture, and respect oneself, inspiring confidence while healing damaged emotions as well. It's said to assist communicating one's needs and boundaries to others, whilst helping to give strength and emotional stability to speak from the heart. Larimar teaches to love, nurture, and respect oneself, inspiring confidence while healing damaged emotions. So I thought that was a really appropriate crystal for everything that's really all the themes that are going to come up for this solar eclipse. So that brings me to the end. So I have an eclipse special for the January forecast, and it will tell you what this eclipse means for your sign as well. All the best, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.